all the parts cleaned up, we are ready to glue. Okay, I'm going to start with the shim. So we've got a shim for one side, a shim for the other. That's the inner shim here. Double check fit. Okay, that's good. Just to make sure. Yep, that's good too. All right, so thanks. I'm not going to kick it because I still want to glue all the rails and stuff on, but do that, move that over. All right, so again, now it's on the opposite side. This is your time to double check, make sure that way you're doing left, right with the shims. Or you can mark it with a pencil like I did and just and then I like to use Q-tips if I have any excess flow of glue to clean up. Okay. Stuff sets up pretty quick. So it's not permanently cured, but it's good enough for me to take the clamps off, and because I'm going to reuse the clamps on this side. Come on, there we go. All right, so there's no difference between top or bottom on these, okay? But you want to make sure that you are as even from top to bottom and on this edge. So I definitely recommend taking your time. I'm actually going to mark the pencil, okay? The other thing I just thought about doing is also making a mark here and there. That way when I go to glue it, I can kind of like center up my line. If you want to add a few of them, whatever, that way you know you haven't shifted. Okay. Here we go. And don't press down until you are happy with where it is. All right, there we go. And then use a Q-tip to clean up any of your excess glue. I guess I don't need the clamps. This stuff is kicking pretty quick. All right, since I know that's my front, you know, I really wanted to make sure that that looks the best, because that's, you know, you're wearing it like this is my left. You're gonna see that. All right, so that looks pretty good. And do to the other side. Same thing, I'm just going to mark with the pencil all my alignment marks. Keep that in the same direction. Really take your time, but you don't have a lot of time. This CA glue stuff bonds fast, so that's why I'm doing all the alignment marks to make sure I'm applying it where I want to, because you don't really have time to change it. Okay, so that's what we're looking at so far with the bicep. As I mentioned, this is going to be the left, only because I've added the shim on this side. So then once I have this sized properly, what I'll be doing is cutting some of this length off and having it stop right where I've added this inner support piece. And that'll, again, get glued to the front. And then the back, I'll also cut just before that piece, but I'm going to leave it open. Or maybe add elastic bands or something, I'm not quite sure. But as I mentioned before, only the front gets glued, but the sizing of this is really going to depend because it goes around your soft goods, around your jacket. So keep that in mind before you trim anything away. All right, so I'm just going to repeat for this one, doing the same thing with the cast pieces. And then I'm going to spray the kicker. I don't want to spray the kicker right now because it'll just activate everything in my workspace, and that would slow down my work time with this one. And you want as much work time as possible to make sure you're aligning the rails up exactly where you want them. There you go. So now we got the outer parts of our biceps done. As I mentioned several times, this will get glued, but you have to figure out the circumference around your jacket. So I suggest having a friend help you, holding it in place, and doing like a pencil line mark on the front and the back. And you want to try to create this, or you want to try to insert this as even as possible. You don't want it this way or that way. So that's why I say pencil it a bunch of times, take measurements, and try to equal the distance and keep the same circumference before you cut. Measure 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I don't care, before you cut it and before you glue it to make sure it fits with your jacket on, you know, bending your arms. Just make sure that's right, and you don't want to cut too much off the back to have it extend out and pop free or something. So take your time with that, but that should be pretty easy. So now that these are both glued, I'm just going to kick it with the zip kicker, just a little on the rails, as well as inside where I glued the little ABS strip. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the biceps until we get to the actual fitting stage of this, and then doing the final cutting and gluing. Now the snaps are in, and I've mentioned both methods about putting the snap in, with using the hammer tool ring, or using a machine screw with the nut and the washer, which is what I would probably prefer to use. So moving on to the next parts.